I was right in the middle of skimming leaves out of my pool when a sharp voice behind me snapped. "You're going to need to clear out soon. My mom owns this neighborhood." I froze instantly, the net hanging loosely from my hand. Turning around, I saw him standing there, hands planted on his hips, wearing a cocky expression I recognized all too well. It was Karen's son. I'd only seen him around a few times before. He couldn't have been older than 16, but the arrogant grin stretched across his face made it obvious he believed he had authority over me. "Excuse me?" I said, thinking maybe I'd misunderstood him. "You heard me," he replied, puffing his chest out like he was trying to appear bigger. "This pool isn't yours anymore. My mom said once the HOA makes a few changes, we'll be in charge. So you might as well get used to my friends and me hanging out here." I almost burst out laughing. My pool, sitting right there in my fenced backyard, on my property. And yet here he was, Karen's son, claiming it as if he had just inherited some kind of kingdom. Over the past few months, I'd already had several minor run-ins with his mother. She strutted around the neighborhood like she ruled the entire cul-de-sac, handing out orders no one asked for, filing ridiculous complaints with the HOA, and telling people what they could or couldn't plant in their own yards. But now it was clear she hadn't just kept those delusions to herself. She'd passed them straight down to her son. "This pool is private," I told him firmly. "If you set foot in here again, I'll call security. That's the end of it." But instead of backing down, he just smirked. "We'll see about that," he said. "My mom says once she takes over, we're running everything. That means I get the pool whenever I want." With that, he turned and strutted away like some self-declared prince. I brushed it off at the time, thinking it was just more nonsense influenced by Karen. I didn't take it too seriously. But the very next morning, everything changed. I stepped outside with my coffee, expecting a quiet start to the day, only to stop dead in my tracks. There they were, 3 teenage boys, Karen's son included, splashing around in my pool as if it belonged to them. Loud music blasted from a speaker. Wet towels were thrown across my patio furniture. One of them had even dragged my cooler over and was filling it with sodas. I nearly dropped my coffee in shock. Clearly, my warning meant nothing to them. That's when it hit me this wasn't going to end with a simple get out. Something bigger was unfolding. And I was right. What started as a bratty claim over my backyard pool was about to spiral into something far worse, a full-blown confrontation that would reveal just how far Karen and her son were willing to go to take control of the entire neighborhood, and just how badly it would backfire on them. Seeing those kids treating my pool like it was theirs made my blood boil. I marched across the patio, slammed my mug down on the table, and shouted, "Out! Now!" My voice had enough force to make 2 of them jump. But Karen's son? He just wiped water off his face and smirked. "Relax," he said casually. "My mom said we can use it. She's going to be in charge soon anyway, so technically this is already ours." My jaw tightened. "This is my property," I snapped. "Your mom doesn't run anything here. You're trespassing. Get out before I call the police." That should have ended it, but instead, he leaned back on one of my floaties, stretching his arms out like he was lounging on a throne. "Go ahead," he mocked. "My mom will back me up. She already said the whole neighborhood basically belongs to her." "You can't do anything to me." My hand clenched around the phone in my pocket. I'd dealt with Karen's nonsense before, her petty complaints about grass length, her endless demands to improve the neighborhood according to her personal taste. But this was something else entirely. She wasn't just bossing people around anymore. She was raising her son to believe they actually had control over everyone else. Before I could respond, I heard the back gate creak open, and right on cue there she was, Karen herself. She walked in like she owned the place, holding a clipboard under one arm, oversized sunglasses resting on her head, and that same self-righteous smirk on her face. "What's going on here?" she asked, as if I were the one out of line. I stared at her in disbelief. "What's going on? Your son broke into my yard with his friends. They're trespassing. This ends now." Karen waved her hand dismissively. "Don't be dramatic," she said. "The HOA has been discussing new community amenities. Once I finalize my position as chairwoman, this pool will be considered part of the neighborhood. We're just getting a head start." I nearly choked on her words. "Excuse me? This pool is in my backyard, behind my fence, on my land. You have zero authority here." Her son laughed, clearly encouraged. See, told you mom's in charge. I was speechless at the level of delusion. I'm telling you one last time, leave, now. But Karen crossed her arms and replied flatly, we're not going anywhere, and if you call the police, don't expect the HOA to take your side. That's when I realized this wasn't just about kids using my pool. Karen was trying to make a statement. She wanted control. She wanted compliance. She wanted everyone to bend to her authority. But she had made one critical mistake. She underestimated me, and soon she was going to find out exactly how badly she'd misjudged the situation. I wasn't about to let her rewrite reality just because she carried a clipboard and spoke like she was in charge. That night, I sat at my desk and gathered everything: my property deed, HOA bylaws, and the neighborhood map. I wanted solid proof, and I found it. Clear property lines, clear ownership. No clause in the HOA rules gave them any claim over my pool. Armed with that, I decided to handle things the proper way. I emailed the HOA board, attached my deed, and explained everything that had happened in detail. I expected them to shut her down immediately. Instead, the response I received made my stomach drop. We'll need to review this matter carefully. Karen has expressed a strong interest in expanding community amenities. Until further notice, please remain civil. Remain civil? My property was being invaded and they wanted me to stay calm. The next afternoon, I heard laughter outside. I looked out the window and there they were again. Karen's son, his friends, and this time, Karen herself. They were lounging around like they were at a resort. She had brought snacks, folding chairs, and even a large umbrella. It wasn't just trespassing anymore. It was a full-blown pool party. In my backyard, that was it. I grabbed my phone and walked outside. This is your final warning. Leave now or I'm calling the police. Karen didn't even flinch. Instead, she pulled out her phone and smirked. Go ahead, she said. I'll tell them you assaulted minors by trying to throw them out of a community space. Her son splashed water toward me, laughing. Yeah, call them. Let's see who they believe. The audacity was unbelievable. For a moment, I felt trapped, because I knew if she twisted the story the right way, the HOA might actually support her. But then, something clicked. This was exactly what she wanted. She wanted me to lose control, to yell, to react, to make a mistake she could use against me. So instead, I smiled. Calm. Controlled. Perfect, I said. Let's call the police. Then I added, and just so you know, I'll be showing them my deed and the trespassing footage from my security cameras. Karen froze for a brief second. Her sunglasses slipped slightly down her nose. She hadn't been aware of the cameras. Her son's grin weakened, his confidence starting to crack. Suddenly, their bold claims didn't feel so untouchable anymore. But instead of stepping back, Karen pushed even harder. We'll see what the board says, she snapped, quickly gathering her belongings. This isn't over, and she was right. It wasn't. Because what followed would finally reveal Karen and her son for exactly who they truly were. Karen had made one major mistake. She underestimated just how ready I was to fight back. The very next morning, I put everything together. The property deed clearly outlines my boundaries, screenshots of the HOA bylaws, and most importantly, high-definition footage from my security cameras. Every angle captured the trespassing perfectly. Karen leading her son and his friends through my gate, them splashing in my pool, moving my furniture around like it belonged to them. Once everything was neatly organized into a folder, I called the non-emergency police line and explained the situation. The dispatcher didn't hesitate. That's trespassing. An officer will come by to document it. Later that afternoon, when the patrol car arrived, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. Finally, someone with real authority. I showed the officer everything. My documents, the video footage, even the HOA messages were trying to avoid taking a firm stance. He listened carefully, nodding as his expression grew more serious. You've got all the proof you need, he said. We'll take care of it. Less than an hour later, the police car returned to the neighborhood. This time, it stopped directly in front of Karen's house. I stood on my porch and watched as the officer knocked on her door. Karen answered, still holding her clipboard like it gave her power. Her son lingered just behind her, peeking over her shoulder. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see everything change. At first, Karen spoke animatedly, pointing toward my house, clearly trying to twist the story in her favor. The officer simply shook his head. Then he raised a tablet. He was showing her the footage I had provided. That's when everything shifted. Her confident posture collapsed, her arms dropped, and her son's smirk disappeared completely. Within minutes, the officer handed her a written notice. Trespassing violation. One more incident and charges would follow. The boys received an official warning, and Karen was told clearly that my property was completely off limits. When the officer finally left, Karen shot me a cold glare from across the street, but she didn't say a single word. Her son stood behind her, shoulders slumped, completely deflated. The so-called royal family of the neighborhood had just been brought down. News spread quickly. Neighbors who had quietly tolerated Karen's behavior for months suddenly found their courage. One by one, they started standing up to her, ignoring her fake authority and empty threats. And without the HOA blindly supporting her, her influence faded almost overnight. As for me, I was finally able to enjoy my pool in peace again. No uninvited guests, no ridiculous claims, just calm water and the freedom of my own space. Karen thought she could declare herself queen of the neighborhood and hand that power down to her son. But in the end, all she really did was expose how little control she ever had. And I proved something far more important: standing firm with the truth will always outweigh any clipboard, smirk, or sense of entitlement. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. Share your thoughts in the comments. I always enjoy hearing what you think. And if you want more wild Karen and HOA stories, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.